Good morning students. Today we are again back with class 4 computer science, and in this revision session, in this video we will discuss about the question answers related to all those chapters of your syllabus, that is from chapter 1, 2 and 3. We will discuss about the question answers and you can clear your doubts. So first of all, come to the first chapter, question answers, chapter 1 question answers, and the first question was compare ROM and RAM. The first question is compare ROM and RAM. So already we have provided you the PDF form of the exercises, and from there I hope that you almost all of you have completed your notebooks and you are preparing well for your exam. But again, for the revision purpose, I am going to discuss the question answers once again. So what is the difference between, or to compare the ROM and RAM? So first of all, start with ROM. The ROM stands for read-only memory. And it is also known as non-volatile memory. It is also known as non-volatile memory. Okay. So first of all, the ROM, it stands for read-only memory and it is known as non-volatile memory. And it stores the data permanently. And we can only read the data from ROM. We can only read the data from the ROM. Now, so what is the meaning of non-volatile memory? The non-volatile memories are basically the memory or the type of memory which stores the data permanently. And as we turn off the computer or shut down the computer, the data does not lose from the non-volatile memory. The data is safe there. Okay. Whereas if we talk about the volatile memory, as soon as you turn off the computer or power off the computer, the data which is been written on the non-volatile memories will be erased completely, or it will be cleaned. So the ROM, it stands for read-only memory and it is also known as non-volatile memory, and it stores the data permanently and we can only read the data from ROM. Whereas if we talk about RAM, if we discuss about the RAM, it stands for random access memory. It stands for random access memory. It is volatile memory. It is a volatile memory and store the data temporarily, and we can read as well as write on RAM. We can read and write the RAM, the random access memory. The RAM stands for random access memory, and it is a volatile memory. It stores the data temporarily, and we can read and write the data on the RAM. So whenever your computer performs any processing, and as soon as your computer is switched on, and whatever input you are giving or whatever the processing is been done by the CPU, whatever processing is been done by the data on the data by the CPU, and the output, everything is been stored on the RAM. Okay, and as soon as you turn off the computer, you turn off or you shut down the computer, automatically all the data which are been stored on the RAM will be erased, and your RAM is being cleaned completely. So that's why the RAM is known as volatile memory. Clear? So now you can easily compare between what is ROM and RAM. The ROM is read-only memory, and it is a permanent memory, and it is also known as non-volatile memory, whereas RAM is a random access memory, and it stores the data temporarily, and that's why it is known as volatile memory. Clear? So now move to the second question. The second question was, what are the two types of CDs available? Types of CDs. The types of CDs. So what are the different types of CDs available with us? The CD recordable and CD rewritable. The two types of CDs which are available to us is CD-R and CD-RW. Its full form is compact disc recordable, whereas the second one is CD-RW, compact disc rewritable. Clear? So these are the two types of CDs which are available, the CD-R and CD-RW. Clear? The difference between these two CDs are that CD-R, the CD recordable, is the CD which is available blank, does not contain any data within it, and the user can easily write the data on the CD-R. Okay, it is available blank in the market. You can purchase it from the stationery shops, and then you can write your own data on the CD. But once you have written any data, afterwards you cannot make any changes to that particular data, or you cannot edit or erase the data from CD-R. Whereas CD-RW, that is CD rewritable, is also similar to CD-R, but the difference is that you can rewrite again and again on the CD-RW. Okay, you can rewrite the data. Once you have written the data, you have used it. If you do not want that particular data in future, you can delete it, and then you can use that particular CD-RW again, and you can write another set of data on it and store it. Okay, so this is the difference between two different types of CDs. Now move to the third question. The third question was, what does the term volatile mean in respect to the memory of the computer? Term volatile. So what is the volatile memory? As we have discussed earlier also, if you are talking about the computer memories, there are two types of memory. One is non-volatile and another one is volatile memory. So volatile memories are the memories where it stores the data till the duration computer is switched on. Computer is switched on. As soon as you shut down the computer, the data from memory are erased. Okay, so the volatile memories are the memories which stores the data only till the duration when the computer is power on or switch on. As soon as you shut down the computer or turn off the computer, it erases all the data which it contains, and that's why it stores the data temporarily. The data which is stored on volatile memory is not permanently stored. It only stores till the duration of the time the computer is switched on. If the power is off, data is erased. Okay, so before power off or before shutting down the computer, please ensure that you have saved the data properly on the hard disk of your computer or some other external device. Otherwise, if you shut down the computer without proper saving of the file, you will lose your task or you will lose the data. Clear? The next one is, what is floppy disk? The fourth question. The fourth one, floppy disk. When we are talking about some external storage media, the storage media or the memory units, which the memory units or the memory devices, secondary memory devices, which can store the data permanently, and through which you can carry the data or you can exchange the data from one system to another easily. So the first innovation in the field of computer to transfer the data from one system to another, okay, or to carry this data from one system to another was the floppy disk. Okay, and the floppy disk is generally very small in size and it only stores very less amount of data, and that's why nowadays we are not using it. Okay, so the floppy disk is generally made up of plastic coating. It is made up of thin plastic coating and plastic coating magnetic material which is used to carry data from one computer to another. another, and its storage capacity was only up to 4 MB. 4 megabyte data was only capable of to store the data up to 4 MB. So the floppy disk, it was made up of a thin plastic coating magnetic material which is used to carry the data from one computer to another, and its storage capacity was only 4 MB. So as in order, it was only able to store a very less amount of data. So as soon as the technology advanced and we got the another storage medias like CDs, DVDs, then Blu-ray discs, then pen drives were invented and being used frequently, we have stopped using the floppy disk. Okay, so this is all about the question answers of chapter 4, and I hope that you will be able to understand it, the question answers, and it will helpful to you in order to learn the chapter properly. Now we will move to the next chapter, that is chapter 2. We move to the second chapter, chapter 2. Okay. The question answers related to chapter 2 was the first one. What is the process to be followed to change the date and time in Windows 7 computer? The first question is related to change date and time. Date and time. To change the date and time. So the steps which you have to follow in order to change the date and time is, the first step is click on the date and time and notification area. Okay. Second step, as you click there, as you click on the date and time on the notification area, a new window will be open. And from there you can click on option. Click on option change date and time. Change date on time. Again, then you will get another window will be open, and from there you will choose select set date and time. Set date and time option and change the values. Change the values according to yourself. And click on apply and OK. So in order to change the date and time, first of all you have to click on the date and time which is displayed in your notification area on the taskbar on the right hand side. On the taskbar on the right hand side you can see the date and time has been displayed. Once you click your mouse cursor on that, you will get the option change date and time option is there. As you click on the change date and time, a new window will be opened, and from there you select the change or set the date and time. Either you can get the message change date or time, or you can get the message set date and time option is given there. Click on that and then you change the value according to yourself. Change the value of calendar and the clock according to yourself, and then click on, first of all click on apply, and then you click on OK button, and you can see the date and the time of your system will be changed. Okay. Now move to the second one. How do you change the volume of the speaker? How to change the volume of the speaker? To change volume of speaker. To change the volume of the speaker, the first step which you have to follow is click on speaker icon in notification area. Second step, use the mouse to move the slider, up and down in order to increase or decrease the volume. Increase or decrease the volume of the speakers. Okay, so the step which you have to follow to change the volume of the speaker. Suppose a speaker is connected to your system and you want to increase or decrease the volume of the speaker which is connected to your system from your operating system, by not directly from the speaker, you want to change it from the computer itself. So what you can do? First of all, click on the speaker icon. A speaker icon is available in the notification area, that is on the right hand side bottom corner of your taskbar. Okay, and then use your mouse to move the slider. A slider is given. As you click on the speaker icon, you can view a slider will be shown to you, and you can use the mouse cursor to move the slider up and down in order. If you move the slider upward, the volume will be increased. If you move the slider downward, the volume of the speaker will be decreased. So you can use your mouse cursor and move the slider according to your choice. Clear? Now the third question is, how do you rename a folder in Windows 7? Third one, to rename a folder. Okay, the steps which you have to follow to rename any folder, or the shortcut key which you can use here is F2. Okay, so first of all, what you have to do? The first step, select the folder and right click your mouse or press F2 key. Press F2 key. Okay. First of all, the first step in order to rename the folder is to select the folder and right click your mouse. As you click the right button of your mouse, it will open a context menu. A context menu will be opened, and from there you can choose the rename option. The second step is select rename option from context menu. Select the rename option. As you click on the rename option, the third step is to type the new name for folder in a specific area. And after typing, press enter. Press enter. Press the enter key. So, to rename a folder, what the steps which you have to follow is either you can do it from your mouse or you can do it using your keyboard also. If you are using the mouse, what you have to do? First of all, select the folder. Select the folder whose name you want to change, and then press the right button of your mouse. Press the right button of your mouse, and as soon as you press the right button of your mouse, a context menu is opened, and from there you select the rename option. You click on the rename option. As soon as you click on the rename option, you will see you will get the option to type the new name for the folder. You will get the option to type the new name, and then you type the new name in the specific area, the area which is given there. There itself you type the new name for that particular folder, and after typing the name, you can press the enter key and your folder is been renamed. Or you can choose the another method. First of all, select the folder and then press F2 key from your keyboard. As soon as you press the F2 key, the shortcut key to rename, press the F2 key, and then it will automatically ask you to type the new name for the folder. Okay, it will ask you to type the new name for the folder, and follow the third step. Type the new name for the folder and then press the enter key. Your folder will be renamed. Okay, so this is how we come to the end of chapter 2, question answers, and we move to the third chapter. We move to the third chapter. Third chapter question answers. The first question is, what are the steps to add a word to a dictionary? Okay, what are the steps to add a new word to a dictionary? Okay, so if you want to add a new word to any dictionary, is that first of all, the question to add new word to dictionary. To add a new word to a dictionary of your system, so first of all you have to follow the steps. Step 1, open the document. Open the document and press F7 key. F7 key. Press the F7 key, or click on review tab. Click on review tab. Okay. Second step, select ABC spelling and grammar. ABC spelling and grammar option. Grammar option and click on add. Click on add. As soon as you click on the add option, it will ask you to type the new word. Then type the word which you want to add and press, and then press the OK button, and then press the OK button. Clear? Press OK button. So the question was, what are the steps or how can you add a new word to a dictionary? If you think that particular word is not included in the dictionary of your computer system, and so in order to add it to your dictionary, you can follow the steps. First of all, open the document and press F7 key from your keyboard. Press the F7 key from your keyboard or click on the review tab. As you click on the review tab, on the ribbon you will get the option of ABC spelling and grammar. You will get the option of ABC spelling and grammar in proofing group. It is in proofing group, and then from there you click on the add option. As you click on the ABC spelling and grammar option, a new window will be opened, and from there you can select the option named as add. As soon as you click on the add, it will ask you to type the new word, and then there itself a space provided. You type the new word which you want to add and then press on OK button. The particular word will be added to the dictionary. Okay. The second one, what do you mean by phrases? Second question was related to phrases and how to use it. Okay. So the first of all, what is phrasal? A phrasal is like a book or an option which consists of words in a group of synonyms and antonyms, which improves your vocabulary. In order to improve your vocabulary or to find out a new word similar to any particular word, okay, and you want to improve your vocabulary or you want to use it in your document, you can use the treasure option or the feature which is available within the Word program. So it consists of group of words in synonyms and antonyms which improves your vocabulary. And how to use it? First of all, select the word for which you want to use it. So the first step in order to use it is, first of all, select the word. Okay. After selecting the word, click on the review tab and click on review tab. Step 2, after clicking on the review tab, you will get the different groups are there, and from select results from proofing group. Okay, select the results from the proofing group and then click the results from the proofing group, and the treasure task pan appears, and task pan appears on right hand side and side. The treasure task pan will appear on the right hand side, and then left click on the board, then task pan will appear, and then different words related to selected words are displayed in task pan. Select any one and left click your mouse button, left click the mouse, a new list or the list of options will be appeared, and click on insert option and select or click on insert option, and you can see the word which you have selected earlier is been replaced by the new word. The word which we have selected was replaced by the new word. So this is how you can use the treasure feature, and you can improve your vocabulary within the MS or the Microsoft Word. Clear? So now move to the third one. Difference between ignore and ignore all. Okay, so the ignore and ignore all option is been given when you try to check a spelling and grammar for any particular word. Okay, if you are going through a document, and you find out that there are lot of mistakes related to spelling and grammatical mistakes are there, and if you use the feature of spelling and grammar check, you will get the two options there, either ignore or ignore all. So you can use the ignore word, to if you do not want any correction, if you do not want to perform any correction and you want to ignore the suggested word, okay, you can use the ignore if you particular word, and to correct the particular word, you can click on ignore option. Okay. Suppose you have done a mistake while writing any particular spelling, and the computer is showing you that there is some spelling mistake is there. Generally, take example that if you type the spelling of color, if you type the spelling of color COLOUR, if you type the word COLOUR in computer, it will always show you that there is a mistake. But generally, when you learn in English, you have written the correct word, but as per as computer dictionary, that spelling is wrong, and it will suggest you some other spelling. It will suggest you the spelling of color as COLOR. But if you do not want the suggestion, and you do not want to perform the correction, you can simply click on ignore option. And it will be ignored, and it will be not perform any correction for that particular word. It will not perform the correction for particular word. Whereas the ignore all option, if you use the ignore all option, it ignore all the occurrence of the word in the document. Ignore all. It ignores all the occurrence of word in entire document. Okay, so this is difference between ignore and ignore all. So now we move to the fourth question. The fourth question of this chapter is, how can you recover from making a mistake? How can you recover from making a mistake in Word document if you do not want to retype the whole thing? So the fourth question is, how to recover from mistake. How to recover from the mistake. Suppose now take an example that you are working in on any document, and by mistake, if you have typed any document, you have typed any word or a sentence, and by mistake you have deleted it. So in order, if you do not want to retype the whole paragraph or a sentence, you can use the undo command. So you can write the answer as, we can use undo command in order to recover from mistake. Okay, recover the mistake in Word document. And mistake, if you do not want to type it again. Okay, so as we have taken an example that you are working on a Word document, and you have typed any paragraph or a sentence. And by mistake you have deleted it. So in order you have only two choices to recover it to the back, is that either you type the paragraph or a sentence once again, or another way is that you can use the undo command. and you can recover back to the paragraph or a sentence which was deleted by the mistake. For the undo command, there is another shortcut, or use the shortcut key. Control plus Z. Use the shortcut key or use the shortcut key Control plus Z, which is the shortcut key for the undo command. Okay, and by using the undo command, you can recover back the particular sentence or a paragraph which you have deleted by the mistake. So this is how we come to the end of this session, where we have discussed about the question answers related to all the 3 chapters which are in your syllabus for your upcoming quarterly exam, and I hope that this session will be very helpful to you to understand the question answers and to learn them in more easy way. Okay, till that time, thank you and have a